What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. Recently I had one of the most epic endings to a game that I've ever experienced. So we start off about 40 minutes into the game with the enemies pushing mid lane. And if you take a look at the scoreboard and the map, the game is pretty much dead even. And so a team fight's about to start here, and as Shyvana goes in to set up this fight, I'm looking towards protecting our backline. You see Draven gets dived on, and Fizz actually backs out thinking that he got him, but since the ultimate's on me, I look back, I see Darius, I know Draven and Ahri can take Darius by themselves, so I move on towards diving with Xin Zhao and Shyvana in, and we go for Lee Sin, and we're pretty much just able to get him here. And Draven and Ahri are able to take out Darius, as mentioned earlier. So I don't have to protect... Oh, and then Lee Sin goes in, and I flash on him just for security reasons. And of course, at the end there, you see I actually stopped protecting my carries, whereas normally I would be expected to defend them as well as possible. But the thing is that I see that Ahri and Draven are able to take out Darius by themselves. And we think about chasing Blitzcrank here, but we know that we really need to get an inhibitor off this fight, or at least some kind of objective. So we just leave him, we just go straight for the base, and we're pushing down the mid lane. And that last fight, the initiation by Shyvana was really, really good, being able to jump in like that, as well as, you know, the dive on Devane. And now after the team fight, we do press on for this inhibitor, and we're looking to see what objectives we can take. Check tab a couple times, see how long the enemies are dead. And they're coming up pretty soon, so definitely taking Nexus turrets is not an option. But what is an option is going for Baron. So we're going to go for Baron. We don't really have that many wards, but we do have the ability to clear wards. We got multiple sweeper trinkets on our team, as well as pink wards and stuff like that. And so we're going to position for our Baron here, while Shyvana starts it up, and Draven comes in. We should be able to take this Baron pretty easily, hopefully, at least. And the team is just doing the Baron, and I'm kind of staying on the side here, trying to zone the rest of the team. Blitzcrank tries to face check, so I go on him. And Fizz and Vayne jump in, so I go for an ultimate there. But then I do something really, really bad here, and as I separate from the rest of my team. And so Darius is able to flash in on me and kill me, and then Ahri gets hooked because of my death earlier. And so right now, at this point, I was thinking, oh my god, I just lost the game for our team, because 2 deaths for pretty much nothing for Baron. But at this point, those 2 deaths, the Baron does not make up for those 2 deaths. And so the opposing team is going to make a push down the mid lane, and we're pretty much giving up here. You know, our morale's low. We're like, oh shit, man, we just lost. Especially once Shyvana gets hooked in here, and she has no chance. Especially the pressure of Blitzcrank late game with those hooks is just absolutely absurd. And so he's able to make so many plays. And we're pretty much just conceding here, like, oh man, whatever, we just lost. Especially Draven gets hooked in here, but Xin Zhao is able to go in, and he gets 2 targets, and that is key here. So Xin Zhao is able to take out 2 targets. Fizz with the Lich Bane especially, that would be able to take the towers really fast. Lee Sin gets executed to the turrets, and so Darius and Vayne have to back off because there's no creeps, and so we live to fight another day. And even though we lost a lot from those 2 kills that were pretty much entirely my fault, it's not that big of a deal since we did win that 5v5 team fight earlier, so we're confident in our team's overall ability to team fight. And so at this point, we're just kind of stalling until, you know, the rest of our team spawns. And so just gonna like push some creeps. You know, Ahri farms a bot lane. Nothing too interesting for, you know, a good minute or so as this goes on. But that play from Xin Zhao, hands down, definitely saved the game for us. And so we went from pushing into the enemy's base, from them pushing into our base, and almost being able to take down our Nexus. And even though our morale is starting to get a little bit lower here, especially due to the fact that we lost so much in that last fight, all because of my mistake of getting caught at the Baron pit, as well as having Ahri getting caught out because of my actions as well. And so even though I did make that mistake, Xin Zhao was able to cover for me, and we're just going to control the map here, or at least try to, with some wards, as well as, since we see Darius top, we know that a team fight, at least right now, isn't that likely. However, something's going to happen here that's going to be very bad for us. So Draven gets hooked in by Blitzcrank. An amazing play by Blitzcrank here. Draven gets destroyed instantly. And so our team, we're kind of panicking here. Shyvana goes in. We know this might not end up being the most even fight, but Shyvana does get a decent dive onto Vayne, and I'm able to save Ahri from the Fizz and to get a pretty solid Leona ultimate off, and we get a couple more kills while Ahri tries to kite back. But the thing is that at this point, Ahri is pretty much our whole damage. So if Ahri dies, we're screwed. So I get the shield on her, an amazing Zonius keeps her alive, we're able to kill Vayne, and then it's just me left. I check tab to see how many of my teammates are alive, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm the only one left, and there's 2 opponents alive, so they might be able to take the base out. So Lee Sin's trying to chase me out, and I'm just trying to stall him for as long as possible. When he goes into the bush here, I think about killing him, but then I realize that since my W did no damage, I have no chance of killing him, and I get lucky and I dodge his Q, and that actually pretty much saves my life with that kind of lucky E play that I made there. So I'm able to back off, and then I check the base to see Darius pushing in, but there's actually no creeps because of that creep killing that I did earlier in the mid lane before Draven got caught. So that push that I did earlier stalled the base out for just enough for us to be able to survive that team fight, even though Draven got hooked in and completely bursted down. But the team fight wasn't a straight up 4v5 since Darius was top and Lee Sin was a little bit late to showing up. But the thing is that Draven and Ahri are pretty much our whole damage. So when they go down, our whole team goes down with them. So now at this point, it's far enough in where our inhibitor respawning is now something we can start to think about. So we're just going to kill the creeps a little bit more, especially because that inhibitor does create a lot of pressure. And since the enemy team is still kind of respawning just a little bit, we're free to kill these creeps pretty quickly, and then we're going to look to group for another team fight. We know from the fight at the beginning that we can and will win a straight up 5v5 as long as it's a straight up 5v5. But the thing is that Blitzcrank creates so much pressure in the late game for lopsided fights, and so that is a huge influence on our playstyle, and Draven as well as other teammates have been caught out constantly throughout the whole game. So we need to group as soon as possible, because if you group against the Blitzcrank and he pulls one of your tanks, or you can have the tank block the hook on purpose, you can actually start a pretty solid team fight from that and use that as an initiation. So we just know that we need to group as soon as possible and look for that 5v5 team fight, because since it's so late into the game and the death timers are so late, if we can get a solid clean victory of a fight, it can lead to pretty much an instant victory. And so we're positioning here mid lane, and we're pretty much waiting until the enemies show on the map. So we don't want to step into the jungle anywhere at risk of being caught until the opponents show. So we see them mid lane, and I think about going in, but then I realize that they have so many Banshees Veil that me starting a fight with my ultimate is pretty much going to be a terrible initiation. So I choose not to do that, and I'm pretty much just waiting for Shyvana to jump in, as that's pretty much our only choice, considering the Banshees Veils are preventing so much of our initiation pressure. And so we back up to the inhibitor, and I'm just waiting for Shyvana to go in here to get the good dive onto Vayne. She's waiting until Vayne gets a little bit closer so that she can get into range. And so Vayne, when she steps into the tower area, so she goes in, I get a solid stun onto Vayne, which leads to an amazing dive for Xin Zhao. You notice the positioning of our carries here is phenomenal. Ahri and Draven are completely untouched, and we just continue this chase on and on throughout and killing every single opponent, and at the very end, we're going to end up. So we get Lee Sin, and then Shyvana takes out Vayne, and that's a clean ace. Instant surrender. That's the game. We win. Unbelievable. Incredible. That was one of the most exciting games I've ever played. Back and forth to Xin Zhao saving our Nexus, to us going in, and all that good stuff. It was awesome. So I hope you enjoyed this commentary. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.